it's really important to give relevant examples of how the law works. So I will use my own personal experiences in the Magistrates Court, where I've taken personal actions in property law, in contract law, in consumer law. I've used the Freedom of Information Act. I've used the Ombudsman for problems that I had with my mobile phone bill. And when you can relate to students and ask them and say, has anyone here used the Freedom of Information Act? Then you can actively engage them and get them to expand, and they can see actually how the law applies and how it's useful in their day-to-day life.
One of the things that I have uppermost in my mind when I teach is that these students have to go out to work after they get their degrees, and I want to really make them equipped to be fantastic employees. So when I teach, it's not just about what's in the textbook, what's in the Corporations Act, what happens in the classroom, what's going to happen on the exam, but actually what will you need when you go out to practice to not only be a sort of ordinary employee, but to be very well equipped and to succeed in your career.
I find what has worked is reframing the question a little bit by way of analogy. So if the question is, for instance, a corporations law question that requires a student to deduce whether or not a director is personally liable for the contract of a company, perhaps, well, I do know that this has worked for me, is to actually take the nub of the question, i.e. what is being asked, and then put it in your own frame. Spice it up a little bit. Put it into, okay, well, this is the essential, identify the essential nub of the question and then frame it in circumstances that are slightly more interesting to the students. For instance, if you've got younger students, then as soon as you say keywords like, well, keywords that are associated with entertainment or having fun, that immediately gets their attention. Not, Jim Riley Proprietary Limited, use a nightclub proprietary limited, or some sort of big day out proprietary limited. Frame the circumstances to suit the student audience. If it's an older audience, then up the stakes. Don't just use the question might say Fred Proprietary Limited. Use proper names like Multiplex Proprietary Limited, or BHP Proprietary Limited, or Gina Reinhardt Proprietary Limited. Topical, newsworthy items that are in the current mainstream.